This program's intended to help you, the professional driver, quickly learn how to use the Eaton Super 10 transmission. We'll show you what makes the Super 10 transmission so much easier to drive. Shift techniques for the Super 10, using its unique combination of lever shifts and button shifts through the normal upshift, downshift, and reverse sequences. And we'll highlight important techniques that'll help you use your Super 10 to its greatest advantage under your unique operating conditions. These techniques include shifting at lower engine RPM, using the clutch to speed split shifts when climbing grades or turning at low speeds, and using the throttle to brake torque. Professional shifting techniques will help get you and your load to your destination time after time. All the components you use for shifting are the same as any other transmission: the button, the shift lever, the clutch, and the throttle. Each lever position has two button positions. The button controls the back box splitter shifts. The shift lever controls the front box. Instead of lever shifting through the gears, making a range change, then shifting through the pattern again, you simply shift through the pattern once, and the range is shifted automatically. With the Super 10, you button shift, then lever shift, then button, then lever. First to second is a button shift. Second to third is a lever shift. Third to fourth is a button. It's that simple. Before we try the Super 10 out, there are a few points that'll make the ride a little smoother. First, for easy reference, you'll find the shift pattern on a placard in your rig and in the Eaton Driver Instruction Manual. Next, keep in mind that you'll be using the accelerator and at times the clutch to brake torque during your gear select button shifts. Don't underestimate the importance of lifting your foot completely off the throttle. Some drivers keep a light pressure on the throttle, and this can cause slow shifts or missed shifts. Now, drivers who find themselves on the open road will really appreciate the laid-back style of operation that the Super 10 offers. But when you're on a grade or turning at low speeds into a lane of traffic, you want to make your shift as quickly as possible. Well, this isn't a problem with the Super 10 because you can use the clutch to speed the shift anytime you need to. On steep, slow grades with the Super 10, you want to get out of first gear by the time you have reached 1300 to 1400 RPM. You may think the truck won't keep moving, but this is the fastest way to shift. One thing to keep in mind is not to run the engine up to the governor. When the engine reaches approximately 1300 RPM, pre-select the button and immediately depress the clutch halfway down and release the throttle completely. Release the clutch and you'll be in second gear. Reapply the throttle. This way you'll find that you actually achieve optimum highway speed by shifting sooner. Every driver should learn and apply this procedure on the low mile-per-hour splitter shifts so that they can use it readily whenever load, terrain, or traffic dictate. Occasionally, drivers comment about what seem to be slow splitter shifts in the higher speed ranges, and some notice this when changing to a different vehicle setup. Don't try to rush the shift. Just make your lever shift while the engine drops off, or wait for the shift to engage automatically during button shifts. If you think the truck missed an upshift, let off the throttle until the tach stops falling rapidly. That's where the shift completes. You probably just got back on the throttle too soon on your last shift. And what this all really comes down to is the fact that you've simply got to get a feel for your Super 10 in your truck. Notice how many RPM the tach drops when you upshift. Notice where the transmission engages the next gear. The point is, some of learning about the Super 10 comes from driving the Super 10. Once you're used to it, you'll come to appreciate the ease and convenience it offers. Now, let's get a feel for the Super 10 by watching it through a full shift sequence with the shift pattern for you to follow. To get started, press the clutch all the way to the floor, place the gear select button to the rear, and shift lever into first gear. Pre-select second by moving the button forward. Completely release throttle, depress clutch halfway. Move the button rearward, now double clutch through the lever shift. Move the button forward, Completely release the throttle to brake torque. Depress clutch halfway. Now button rearward, double clutch, lever shift to fifth. Button forward, release throttle, you're in sixth. Button rearward, double clutch, lever shift to seventh. Now, as the lever passed through neutral from sixth to seventh, the range was automatically shifted. Pre-select button forward to eighth. Release throttle, we're in eighth. Pre-select button rearward, double clutch to ninth. This double clutch lever shift is the same as any other transmission. Again, the shift completes when RPM drops by about 350. And remember, if you're running a long, steep grade or are heavily loaded and want your shifts quicker, use the clutch during your button shifts. Pre-select button forward, release throttle, and the shift is made to 10th, and get back on the throttle. Now downshifting is just the same. Button, lever, button, lever. In 10th gear, move the button rearward. Release throttle to brake torque. Increase RPM by about 350 to match engine speed to driveline speed. You're in ninth. Again, just like upshifting, the engine speed change for your vehicle may be different. From ninth gear to eighth, pre-select button forward, double clutch through neutral and increase RPM by about 350, engage eighth gear. Pre-select button rearward, release the throttle, then raise RPM around 350 to match the engine and driveline speed and complete the shift. Again, when you lever shift from 7th to 6th, the range will automatically downshift for you. Using reverse is just like starting out in first gear. Press the clutch all the way in, pre-select the reverse ratio with the button, move the shift lever to the reverse position, and slowly release the clutch. Low ratio reverse is recommended for safety and vehicle control, but you do have a choice of high or low. There will be times when you may want to vary your shifting technique. For instance, when your truck is lightly loaded, or when you need to manage engine speed and torque quickly and precisely to maintain your best speed. When you're lightly loaded or bobtailing, you don't need to use all 10 gears. You can skip shift with the Super 10 by simply lever shifting and double clutching through all the lever positions. You don't need to button shift at all. But remember, the engine RPM drop will be twice that of a normal shift, about 700 RPM. Let's try it. Start out in first gear, double clutch and move the lever to third gear. Double clutch again for fifth. Do the same thing for seventh, and ninth. Now you can select a button shift anytime you need to. When you get into ninth gear and want to go to 10th, just pre-select the button and release the throttle to complete the shift. Then back on the throttle. Remember, with the button forward, you have 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Button rearward, you get 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. And remember, if you're running a long, steep grade or are heavily loaded and want your shifts quicker, use the clutch during your button shifts. Just clutch to brake torque and match engine and driveline speed. So from first gear, pre-select the button forward, completely release the throttle, and depress the clutch halfway. Now this single clutch method should only be used with button shifts. Remember, the sooner you start the upshift, less than engine-governed RPM, the quicker the shift will complete because the engine has fewer RPMs to drop to complete the shift, and that's what takes time. So if you start the first to second button shift sooner, say at 1350 RPM, and use the single clutch technique we've just demonstrated, the button shifts will be quicker. The Eaton Super 10 transmission was designed with you, the professional driver, in mind. It provides the reliability and durability you expect from Eaton. And the Super 10 offers you the ease and convenience you'll come to appreciate.